Welcome back to the Tracy Take. Today, Ryan and I, we will be reviewing the 2021 season of the Miami Dolphins. But before we do that, Ryan and I, we have a goal of getting to 400 subscribers. So if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button, like this video, comment on this video, and let us know what you think about the Dolphins season, and share this with your Dolphins friends. Ryan, let's get into it. So this is the ultimate tale of two half seasons. Dolphins beat your Patriots at the start and the end of the year. I don't know if you wanted me to announce that to the world. And in between those stretches, they went on an 0-7 run, followed by a 7-0 run. And I think that there was a loss in between. Yeah, they lost to the Titans in the second last week.
Yeah.
They somehow still had playoff hopes. After 8 games, they're like, the Dolphins could technically still make the playoffs, and we're like, yeah, fucking A. No way. And then they do. It's like they didn't show up against the Titans, and for reasons that we will get into here in a second. But I mean, this is a young team. They were fun to watch. They've got $61 million in cap space. If they're able to muster up the courage to spend it, there's one clear area where they need to address it at, and we'll get to later. But if they can address that area, they can honestly be a tough team to play against. I think they need to add one solid receiver 2 option go alongside Jalen Waddle. But Jalen Waddle had an amazing season. He had over 1,000 receiving yards on 100 catches with 6 touchdowns. I think it's only going to improve. Tua had 2,600 passing yards through 13 games, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a 90.1 rating. And if I'm not mistaken, through about the same games, he had 200 less passing yards, but a higher passer rating than Lamar Jackson, who we just covered in the Baltimore Ravens video, and threw less picks as well. And so now Tua doesn't bring as much versatility to the table. He is very versatile, I would say, to Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he has the consistency, and he worked really well in the offense. What do you think the Dolphins did extremely well this year that they can kind of carry over into the 2022 season?
Yeah, I'm going to start out with a little bit of a different one. I think that their rookie class was phenomenal. I think they hit on their first 3 picks. All 3 guys were starters throughout the year. Jalen Waddle, obviously, like you said, over 1,000 yards on 100 catches. Jalen Phillips had 8.5 sacks, and Javon Holland was a very solid starter in his first season at safety for them. I think that they knocked last year's draft out of the park. If you any draft that you get 3 starters in, I think that is a good draft.
Well, you could say 4,
especially a franchise wide receiver.
You say 4 with Liam Eichenberg. You could say 4.
Okay, 3 solid starters. Yeah, 3 solid starters with your first 3 picks. Guys that contributed, especially a franchise wide receiver and a possible franchise defensive end. I think he's a guy that could average double-digit sacks over the next 5 years. I think he's that type of player. So I think they did really well. And speaking of that, I think another thing they did really, really well was their pass rush. They had 48 sacks on the season, which was 6th in the league. So I think that was another thing that they did really well. So, their defense, I'll put it in the good category, but I think it was the absolute definition of average. 16th in team defense and passing, and then they were 14th in rushing. I'm not going to say that that's good, but it's just not bad. It's average. So, do you have anything else to add to the good?
No, I would just say on the good, I made a lot of shout-outs on the offensive side of the ball that were the deserving kind. But, I would think that it was just with not expecting too much. I think going into the season, they were almost a playoff contender last year. Oh, no, sorry, they were a playoff contender last year, a more legitimate one. They turned into one just because of a long streak that they went on that all the other AFC teams kept beating each other. And now it's really then, to me, they're a young team, and then kind of transitioning onto the bad. And what's really holding this team back, and this is the epitome of what I've been saying on this channel for a long time, they have the worst offensive line in the entire league. Somehow they only gave up 40 sacks on the year, but I think a lot of that is because of the scheming that they do offensively, which is just getting rid of the ball extremely quickly. A lot of 2-3 step drops and getting the ball out of Tua's hand because they know they just can't run the ball, or they can't pass block. But then also on top of that, though, they can't run the ball either. Myles Gaskins, I think, is a solid running back. I mean, not in the top 10 or 15 of running backs, but he's a good running back in the NFL. But he just cannot find any production because his offensive line sucks. Yeah. They're ranked 30th in run offenses with only 92.2 yards per game. If they can develop an offensive line, protect Tua, give them an ability to expand the offense, or to be more dynamic on the offensive side of the ball, then this team could be really dangerous to play because I think they're really well-rounded everywhere else. They add a couple pieces, as I said, which we'll get into later in the skill position area. But like I remember watching some games, and when they played the Saints later on in the year, I think it was a Thursday night game, I think, which it was weird because it actually had playoff implications. But the Dolphins really controlled the whole game. But however, one thing I noticed, though, if there was an offensive holding penalty, they might as well have just punted the ball because it's putting them back at 1st and 20, and their whole offense was let's get 4 yards at a time, whether it be running the ball or doing quick slant schemed routes. Let's get 4 yards, 5 yards. Sometimes they'll get 7, get it second and short, and then it opens up the whole playbook. But when it gets to 1st and 20, and then it's like, okay, we need to get 8 yards on this play. Their offense was not built. Not even like it wasn't built. They couldn't do it just because their offensive line was so weak. I mean, honestly, Ryan, you and I could have done, I feel like it's just as good a job as this offensive line did, especially from 1st and 20 and later. Now, that is a huge exaggeration, I know. But still,
I'll go down there and fall down for the veteran minimum. That's
oh yeah, I'll try. I'll get give me my participation contract, and then I'll go do it. Yeah. But that to me, if they can address that, I honestly think that Miami is a serious playoff team. I am a Tua believer right now. I haven't seen anything that would make me really think otherwise. Considering the fact, like last year was his rookie year, he had a weird off-season training camp coming off from a hip. Mm-hmm. His whole first year was a little hurt and banged up in the beginning of the year. A lot of internal stuff, a lot of conversation for Deshaun Watson, who I don't think is going to be heading over to Miami. I'm pretty sure Tua is the guy. That's why Flores left. I think Lovie Smith wants to keep Tua, or at least until the Deshaun Watson stuff gets figured out. So all that stuff's going to be put on hold. So Tua is the guy as of right now. And
I agree.
I think given the opportunity, given an offensive line, I think Tua can do some pretty magical things down there.
To me, I think Tua is in a very similar situation to Baker Mayfield. I think that they're going to ride out his rookie contract with him. And I think if they get to the end of it and there's still questions, they'll take his 5th-year option and then give him kind of a decision year and see if he can really step it up. Because, like you said, he had that gruesome injury, and he kind of missed that first 8 months in the NFL where he really was just kind of rehabbing and just trying to get back onto the field. And then at the same time, he was still trying to learn NFL systems. He didn't have an offensive-minded coach in Brian Flores for the large majority of, actually, I think the whole time. But it's definitely a really interesting situation. I guess.
And so, also, if I'm not mistaken, too, his first year, that was his first offseason after he got drafted. That was 2020, right? So it was COVID protocols, no all virtual training camps, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So it just threw everything off. And I mean, it's not like there aren't critiques for the guys, but I think if you give him an offensive line, I just would love to see what would happen. But also, if you're Miami, you bring that up right out his rookie contract. So he's going into his 3rd year now, correct? You spend a 5th overall pick on him. Why would you not give it 5 years? I mean, it's going to take time to develop. We're just in such a we want a Super Bowl right now type of culture in the NFL today. It's just how people are, it seems. And
Yeah.
I as a friend of mine who's a Dolphins fan is saying like, oh, we need to get rid of Tua, get Deshaun Watson. After like halfway through his rookie season, it's like you guys just drafted this guy. I think it takes time, and same thing with Baker here. Like Baker in his third year took the Browns all the way to playoffs, got all this, and they were on a good team. Give Tua the 5 years, that you expect from him. Build a team around him. Then if it doesn't work out, go get a better rookie quarterback, and then you're putting him on a really solid team already with all the pieces that are there.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. You'll have the cap space to go out and get players, like you said, this year they have $61 million. But kind of playing off that in the offseason, what do you think their goals should be in this offseason? I think there's a clear one, but
like offensive line. But so that's a short one. I think another key one, if we're going offensively, I think another dynamic receiver that can go across. Jalen Waddle, Devonta Parker only played in 10 games. Had a solid season through those 10 games, 40 catches, 515 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he's getting on the latter half of his career, getting another young wide receiver. And they do have a first-round pick. They are picking 29th. I'm curious to see what offensive linemen will be there. We talked about Zion Johnson a lot, Trevor Penning. Potentially they could trade up. I would need to see what their draft capital is, just so they can kind of assure an offensive line, because that's what they really need.
Yeah.
But if they don't want to do that, picking one of these kind of second-round receivers that has some potential, maybe taking them a little bit early at the end of the first round, but kind of taking a flyer. Someone like David Bell or Jahan Dotson from Penn State, I think would be a great addition to this team on the receiver side. And you can also say maybe improving at the running back position, but as I've said, I'm at the train of thought. You could have Emmitt Smith back there, like prime time Emmitt Smith behind this offensive line, and that Emmitt Smith would not make the Hall of Fame, because you need to have a good offensive line if you want to be a successful player.
And their offensive line isn't just bad. Their highest ranked player was like a 66 in
67.4 Robert Hunt.
Yeah, and then after that, it was, their average offensive lineman was probably had a 56, 57 PFF rank.
Yeah.
Like, it is totally abysmal.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think if they even get the opportunity, like if one of those tackles falls, like if for some reason Ikem Ekwonu or Charles Cross fall outside of the top 15, I think the Dolphins might even be a trade candidate, because I think that they definitely need to move up and draft good offensive linemen that bad. And if they can add a solid piece like that, and I think that is the one and only thing that kept them out of the playoffs this year, was how bad that offensive line was, because Tua got hurt because of how many times he got hit early on in the season. So,
that's exactly it.
Yeah. And the offensive line didn't get better. It was just the scheming that allowed him to get the ball out faster. So yeah. But yeah, I think other than the offensive line, I think they're in add good player mode. They have the cap space to go out, add a solid corner to go alongside Xavier Howard, maybe add another linebacker into the mix. But other than that, I don't really have too much else for the Dolphins, so I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Tracy Take. So if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I are trying to hit 400 subscribers by draft night, so if you could help us reach that goal, we would very much appreciate it. And other than that, we will see you guys in the next episode.